But we do start the half hour with the tragic death of a teenaged girl, which raises some disturbing issues for every parent. This young woman's name was Brandy French. She died after taking ecstasy with friends. But now, in what may be a landmark lawsuit, her family is suing those friends, not for giving her the drugs, but for failing to do enough to save her life. It should have been a special day for 16-year-old Brandy French, her first rock concert, but it was also her last. It was at an all-day festival in Pittsburgh last May that Brandy and two girlfriends took a potent form of the drug ecstasy. Brandy had never taken drugs before. Her father, her only living parent, had been protective. She became violently ill from the drug. Her friends thought she could sleep it off at one of their homes. She died 9 hours later. 17-year-old Greg Ludwig, who allegedly supplied the drug, has been charged with third-degree murder. But he is not the only one in trouble.
There is a lot of blame to go around in this case. This little girl started to get sick at 4 o'clock in the afternoon at the X-Fest, and no one, including some adults who were involved here, called an ambulance until almost 1 o'clock.
Do you miss Brandy?
Yes.
Brandy's family has filed a negligence suit against 17-year-old Michelle Marinick, who allegedly bought the drugs, 3 other teenagers involved, and the adult to whose home Brandy was taken to recover.
We just want justice for Brandy. That's all we could say. Justice for Brandy.
And I think any other parent wants the
Would want the same thing.
Joining us now from Pittsburgh is the French family attorney, John Gismondi. Mr. Gismondi, good to have you with us.
Good morning, Charlie.
This is a tragic case, but I'm not certain how you can bring charges against friends or the owner of the home to which she was taken.
Well, it's really a basic concept, Charlie. Here you had a girl who was desperately in need of medical help. People had taken custody of her and taken control of her, but they didn't get the help for her that she needed. They should have called 911 or taken her to the hospital, which was only a few minutes away. Or at the very least, if they weren't going to do that, they at least should have called her family, which was located only a few minutes away, and let them take control of the situation. But they didn't do any of that. They kept control of her. She couldn't walk. She couldn't talk. She wasn't breathing normally. In fact, according to some reports, she had stopped breathing once or twice. And they didn't do anything. Again, it's a rather basic concept. If you're going to take control of somebody and take custody of them, then you have an obligation to do it well.
But they tried to minister to her. They may not have ministered to her in a way that saved her life, but they did try to minister. But even if they take control of her,
no,
as you say, is there some law that says that they have to call for help?
Oh, absolutely. And Charlie, not to correct you, but they didn't do anything for Brandy. They did nothing for her. They had her at the concert for 2 or 3 hours where she was throwing up violently, complaining of a massive headache. She couldn't walk. They had to literally carry her out. When they got her to the home where the adult was, they didn't do anything for her. They stuck her in an upstairs bed. They didn't minister to her, as you say. They didn't do anything for her. And that's really the whole crux of the matter.
Well, as I understand it, the mother, the owner of the home to which she was taken, changed her clothes, put her in the bed, and she had been told the child was drunk. So what more would you have her do?
Well, Charlie, first of all, whether or not she was told she was drunk or whatever, that's really not the issue. The issue is the condition the person was in. How they got in that condition, whether it was alcohol, a drug, or something else, really is immaterial. But again, she didn't do anything. Nobody really did anything other than let her lay in bed, unconscious, really not moving at all. She actually fell out of bed, not talking at all, not opening her eyes, not breathing correctly. Nothing was done.
But John, what if they had refused to help? Then, in other words, if they had not taken her into the home, if they just abandoned her, then would they be no longer culpable?
Yeah, if they hadn't taken control of her and taken her from the concert and taken her somewhere and taken control of her, it would be a different situation. But here, they were the ones making all the choices for Brandy. If they had just called her family and let the family make the choices, if they had just called 911, or if they had taken her to the nearby hospital, things would have been fine.
But of course, the unfortunate choice was hers when she took the drug.
Charlie, look, there's no question that you can't condone any teenager who takes an illicit drug, and there's no excuse to be made for that here. But it's a little bit analogous to the situation where the young child by some act of carelessness gets themselves on the railroad track, that indiscretion doesn't give the engineer the right to run them over. But again, there's no excuse for having taken the drug, but once she did and had the desperately ill side effects that she did, the people around her had an obligation to do something if they were going to take control of the situation as they did. If they didn't want to take control of the situation, they should have called her family.
All right. Mr. Gismondi, I appreciate it. Very interesting case.
Sure thing.
I appreciate you being here to talk about it. Thanks.